Kate Forsyth.
What I love about her is her lightness of touch, how swiftly she can draw character, and how real and vivid her characters are, right from the very moment that they walk onto the stage. I often go back and read some of my favorite Georgette Heyer books when I'm writing, because I'm trying to learn, I'm trying to absorb from her that kind of, it's a combination of delicacy and vividness, which I really love. And the other thing I think she does really, really well is she deals with time leaps really adroitly, so that you can actually move forward in great leaps of time, but you never feel any disconnection or any gap in the story. And so I think that is really well done as well. And so I'm constantly trying to learn from her how to do that better.
My copies of Georgette Heyer's novels are so tattered that they are in danger of falling apart, for they are the books I turn to whenever I am feeling particularly tired or unwell. They never fail to delight me, no matter how often I read them. Her touch is so light, her characters so deftly drawn, her situations so absurd and yet somehow so poignant too. Kate Forsyth, What Katie Read. Caroline Dunford.
I'm Caroline Dunford, and the book that changed my life is Georgette Heyer's Devil's Cub.
Ellie Griffiths.
I'm very much in awe of someone who took this time to read sort of War and Peace or something. I really am. For me, I have read a lot, but it's absolutely been rereading. I've gone into a real binge of rereading and comfort reads, I suppose, really. So I've reread a lot of Georgette Heyer. I'm a big Georgette Heyer fan, which I guess people would probably know from my books.
Why are Georgette Heyer's covers so naff? When you think of all the exciting things that happen, abductions, false identities, wild horseback chases, the front of the book nearly always shows a woman in a ball gown, simpering sweetly up at a man. The Stranger Diaries by Ellie Griffiths. Lois McMaster Bujold.
I read for escape. I read Heyer for escape, certainly. And I read comedy. I notice when I read that the ones I enjoy are the comedies, not the romantic melodramas. And Georgette Heyer is reliably comic.
For Jane, Charlotte, Georgette, and Dorothy, long may they rule. Dedication to a Civil Campaign by Lois McMaster Bujold. Heyer remains my favourite comfort reading. A Civil Campaign is very much a tribute to her. Miles in Love by Lois McMaster Bujold. Afterword. Emma Darwin.
Basically, I love Heyer because I just love being in that world. But I do think that technically she is extraordinarily good, and she's really worth studying from that point of view as well. We can all learn a lot from what she does, those of us who write historical fiction.
Like most innovators, Georgette Heyer suffers by association with her imitators, descendants, and plagiarists. But to dismiss her as all bonnets and heaving bosoms is like dismissing Woodhouse because he writes about toffs and pigs. Both are peerless at what they do, and millions of readers have encountered these worlds and settled down for good. Emma Darwin, The Grand Sophie and Venetia by Georgette Heyer. Wolpers Libris. Garth Nix.
The Regency period, I think, is attractive to lots of writers. I guess my main reason I like it and why I wrote Newt's Emerald is because I love Georgette Heyer's Regency romances so much, and they're funny. They're great. They're historically very accurate in that period. I mean, it's the same period that Jane Austen is writing. I'm a big fan of Jane Austen too. So there's that attractive. I think it's just one of the things I like about Georgette Heyer is the books are funny. A lot of her books, they're full of upper class idiots, and they love stories which are complicated and everything goes wrong, and that all appeals to me. And Newt's Emerald is really my homage to to Georgette Heyer.
I have loved these books at 12 and 20 and 30 and 40 and 50. So much I wanted to write one myself. Georgette Heyer's Regency Romances and Me. Epic Reads. India Night. I could mainline Heyer's Regency Romances until the end of time and still not get bored. Best Books number 5. Bleak House by Charles Dickens. The Times. When it comes to Regency novels, she was the master, like a Henry James of things that are fun to read. Only literary snobs write off romantic fiction. The Times. Mary Jo Putney.
There's a few that I don't like quite as much, but in general, I just liked the way she used language and the insights and the dry British humor. It was just so much fun to read. And as a student, I needed my escapes and cheap books. I have bought all of her books at one time or another at least 3 times. Like when I moved from Syracuse to California, I had to get rid of that first lot of books. I've gotten other copies. I've got them on ebooks, all kinds of things.
I have a degree in 18th century British literature, and my writing sensibility was powerfully shaped by Georgette Heyer. So long, complex sentences come naturally to me. Interview with Anaphora Press. Naomi Novik. Georgette Heyer's Regency Romances. I'd probably go with Frederica if I had to pick one. 6 authors and books I keep coming back to. Powell's Books. Kathy Rensenbrink.
What really I love about Heyer is that they're funny. So I'm less interested in them I'm less interested in the romance plot than I think they're social comedies, and they're very funny. So my comparison when I'm out there trying to get people to read her is it's P.G. Wodehouse with a really well-researched Regency setting.
Oh, how I love Georgette Heyer, who is a most underrated comic novelist. Her best novels could be described as Regency romances, but that doesn't begin to do justice to the sparkle and humour on offer. Kathy Rensenbrink, My Comfort Reads. Harriet Evans.
The great thing about them is they are so well written. You can come back to them year after year. So I think the first time I started reading her, I would have been in my early teens. Then you read them again and you find them super romantic. There are so many layers to them and they just keep on giving. I'm smiling as I'm talking to you because it's just so joyful to talk about her, because of all authors, she is the one who I and my friends reread the most. There is no pleasure greater, I would say, than knowing you're going to reread her.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas there are other books when you think, I really enjoyed that book, I'm going to reread it, but you sort of almost feel guilty about it. Whereas with Heyer, the whole point of her is the reread. It's a comfort every single time. You just are struck anew at the brilliance of her structure and her ability and her dialogue and the way she tells the same story essentially over and over again, but in incredibly fresh ways.
Stephen Fry.
Everybody who reads Georgette Heyer feels, perhaps rightly, that they know more about the details of the Regency period than most cultural historians. That we are so, the detail of thieves' cant and servants and how much they're paid and how they work, and all these details are so beautifully done. But most importantly, the details in terms of gender, sex, expectation, marriage, love, all these, you have to accept how they were in Georgette Heyer's day for her stories to make sense. So you become a Regency person with those values, which are often snobbish and appalling and dreadful, and we wouldn't accept them now. But if you dive into Georgette Heyer, that's the reward.
One of the wittiest, most insightful and rewarding prose writers imaginable. Stephen Fry, Introduction to the Folio edition of Venetia.